I'm not sure how to start this video, despite the fact that I'm reading from a script because I'm bad at just opening OBS and ramble about what I want to talk about. But if this video is found by the algorithm somehow, hi. I'm your average guy that wants to do YouTube videos and all of that stuff. I haven't been successful with it though, and most, if not all, of it is simply my own fault. I'll be sharing my problems and what the future might have in store for me. With that small introduction out of the way, I want to say a quick thank you for clicking on the video. Let's continue. I feel embarrassed. It's almost been a whole year since I've uploaded anything, and it has been a whole year since I uploaded the most important video for me, the one titled Hi. In it, I talked about why I stopped making videos, my future plans with the channel, and what I will do starting from that point on. Well, obviously, I barely did anything I said I would. The only thing I did was upload two videos, one being an edited video for content, and the other just a clip. What was supposed to come after my Mario Party video was a video of me and my friends playing Lethal Company, but it never came out. Why? Because the Mario Party video completely messed me up. I worked so hard on it, finding suitable music, ways of trying to make it entertaining, polishing every bit, but the length of it killed me. I can't remember how long the original recording was, but I remember updating some friends on its editing progress and losing it over how long it was taking to finish and how much of the original recording was going to be in it. Guys, I it's official. 50 50 minutes. I have edited 50 minutes out of 1 hour and 20 minutes of footage. Maybe I might be done by, before Wednesday. Maybe. Once I was done with it, though, I felt so relieved that I stopped playing anything for a while. Eventually, I had the idea of making the Lethal Company video, but unbeknownst to me, my motivation was already declining. At first, I was really excited to record a session. I brought it up to my friends. They quickly accepted the idea, and we set up a date. It was awesome, and once I stopped recording, I was even more excited for this video. It was a fun time, and there were a lot of funny moments. Thought I hit the jackpot. But then I started editing the video. It was smooth sailing at first, but then I had an idea. I wanted to improve upon the way I credited music starting with that video. What I ended up coming up with is when music starts playing, the name of it would pop in one of the corners of the video alongside an image. So what ends up happening is I take the time to make a music logo, but it took a decent amount of time, which I could have used to edit the video instead. But whatever, I did it. I got back to editing for a bit, but my motivation finally dried up. I just couldn't keep working on the video. But I ended up forcing myself to continue until I reached my breaking point. So I gave myself a break, which turned into laziness, then that into procrastination, and finally, depression kicked in. What's the point? It's mediocre at best. Nobody will see it anyways. These types of thoughts kept circulating in my head, which in turn made me give up on not just the video, but continuing to make any other content. On top of all that, my setup is pretty mediocre. I use a gaming laptop for everything. It's pretty beefy, but still a laptop at the end. Here are the specs for it. But the one thing I will mention about its specs is that it only has 512 gigabytes of storage, and out of that, only 475 gigabytes is usable. Why did I get this laptop? Well, because it was on sale. And the price for the specs was the best thing available at the time. So I went with it. Now, maybe the likelihood of me being bad at managing my resources is pretty high, but I still think it's rough to do any content creation with this setup due to how limiting it can be. I can maybe juggle two 50 or more gigabyte games and then like two recording sessions at most. As for my audio, I use a random headset I found at an uncle's storage shed. It's deteriorating, and the mic is okay at best. My environment plays a factor to this too, as I have an AC and fan running 24/7 because I live in Mexico, where it's hot as hell. Before I even came here, though, I knew ahead of time that I will need something for my laptop to not overheat, so I bought a laptop cooler. So my environment is not the best to work in either. An AC, fan, a laptop cooler, and to top it all off, the random noises outside the house. Of course, I filter, edit, whatever, the audio in which I talk in order to reduce the background noises, and the audio ends up in mediocre quality. That, or maybe my mic is not okay at best. I'm not financially in the best spot. I don't want to get into details as dislike talking about it, but I mentioned this for the ideas that I've come up with over the past year. Things that I want to do, not just for the possibility of making money from them, but from my own happiness too. And I don't mind being open about the making money part, as it's hard for me not to consider the situation I've been in for years now. If anything, I think it's always better to be honest about it, and as long as my moral compass doesn't go south for all the wrong reasons, I'm perfectly more than fine to be open about this conversation. I still want to make videos, but I'll be making some changes. I most likely won't record sessions longer than an hour and a half anymore, or if I do, before I get to actually edit anything at all, I'll do the bare minimum and cut and delete all the boring parts of it. And if it's still too much for my liking, I'll most likely delete it. I'll also be simplifying my editing style, at least to some degree. I'll retain everything I've learned, but I think I need to do these two things going forward if I want to keep making content for my own sake. Going back to my video titled Hi, I also expressed the idea of creating a second channel for the more niche stuff, like very indie Let's Plays, showcasing art or anything art related, discussing less serious topics, etc. But I'm not big enough to justify creating a second channel. From now on, any video I want to make will get uploaded to this channel. I don't mind if it's all over the place, as that is the vibe I'm going for anyways. A guy just enjoying whatever he creates. Yeah, it'll be harder to farm a following that way and have consistent results, but I could care less, man. I really don't want to be in this like boxed idea of being a one game creator. I really wish to do all sorts of stuff, and I'm just hoping that the people who stumble across my content like the diversity and enjoy the vibe. I would like to get into live streaming, but not sure if I can. I don't own a second monitor, and I know that it's not a necessity, as I read online and have been told that I could use my phone for whatever it is that I need to do. But I also have friends that are streamers themselves and that have told me how much easier it is to manage a stream with just one extra monitor. It's also just more professional and practical. The inconvenience, honestly, that motivates me a little from getting into it. But maybe once I prove to myself first that I do want to get serious about creating content again, I'll revisit this idea and learn more about it. For the longest time now, this idea has been in the back of my head for years, but I think it's something way out of my league. I've always wanted to develop games. Who hasn't, right? How I would like to go about it at the beginning, though, would be to look at Roblox. Now, I know some people for a fact might have just cringed at that for whatever reason, but listen, most of my ideas for games have or even rely on multiplayer. I really love multiplayer games, so not having to worry about servers and all of that would be great. The biggest obstacle would be learning Lua. Luau? I don't know. Anyways, the thought of having to learn how to code and all of that sounds dreadful to me, which is why I was able to come up with another idea that still involves Roblox. I figured, why not create clothes? Recently, I found out that Roblox actually provides free templates for people who want to create classic clothing. They provide both a shirt and pants template. What I've learned though is that I'm actually able to upload these templates to the art software that I use. And they're pretty small, which means they're kind of pixel based. And I think that's an unbelievably huge plus for me. The problem is coming up with what clothes I want to make. However, this idea is definitely one I would like to follow through and be successful at. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm an artist, my main medium being pixel art. For a long time, I've wanted to do commissions, but never got lucky enough to receive requests. So I have zero experience with doing this sort of thing, as well as the added obstacle of me being bad at talking to people. Earlier this year, though, around February, one of my best friends asked if he could commission me. I reluctantly agreed since I didn't think I'd do well enough, as well as me being lazy, which I'll get back to later. Anyways, it went pretty bad. For years, I had been using a software called Pixel Studio, but that changed around late October. This same friend gifted me a sprite. I have no idea why, but I'm forever grateful. Anyways, I don't believe I had opened a sprite prior to my friend's request, and if I did, I only looked around. This was going to be my first commission ever on a new software. I got to work by watching tutorials to learn all the tools and how to make things easier on myself, but I kept getting overwhelmed again and again. I gave up for 2 months. When I finally built the motivation to try again, my friend, surprisingly, still wanted the commission. I powered through this time, watching the same tutorials again and again. It took me 4 days. Maybe I overreacted and doubted myself too much. I'm not sure. I suppose when I lose motivation, I lose a lot of it, which brings the question of why? Why can't I just do things or complete things or follow through with said things? And I'm not sure what the answer is. I have a lot of guesses, but My best one is that I'm simply lazy, really lazy. I get excited about something, I do it, lose some steam, then force myself to continue. Then I finally lose enough energy to tell myself to take a break and I'll do it later. That break then goes on for an indefinite amount of time. Then I start procrastinating. Procrastinating gets me mad at myself and I then get sad about it, which then turns into depression. When I finally get a hold of myself and build up a sliver of motivation, I tell myself I'll start once I'm more level headed, and the cycle repeats. I know this was a lot, but I really needed to get it off my chest. I want to make things. I have goals. I'm just trying to be more honest with myself this time. Even if, this video will also be ignored by the algorithm. I don't think I would mind too much. This video can kind of serve as a reminder to myself what I'm striving for. If you've stuck around until the end, I sincerely thank you. I'm not promising anything, but I am trying.